tell us who you are and yeah, where you're at in the indie birth universe.
Hi, I'm Jackie George. I live in southeastern Wyoming, and I'm a doula and a student midwife at Indie Birth. I'm also a registered nurse. And right now, I am about halfway through the first 40 weeks program. So I'm completing the research portion right now. And I've been really enjoying it. I feel like it's a wonderful program because there's so much variety. You're doing clinical, you're doing spiritual, you're doing all sorts of amazing things. So I feel like it's been a really great balance so far. I've been really enjoying it.
Cool. What have been some of your favorite either courses or like specific classes or topics that you have gotten to study with us?
I love anything about the placenta because I think placentas are amazing. Like I do placenta encapsulation for my clients. And I always tell people I love placentas almost as much as I love birth. They are just the coolest thing. So anything that you learn about a placenta and just how it functions and how it develops, it's such a cool organ. And we often forget about, our society doesn't look at them the same way as other cultures, and we don't look at them as being this thing that protected you and protected your baby and did this amazing job. And then we oftentimes just let it get thrown away or completely disregard it. So I love anything about the placenta. I thought that those classes were really cool. And I loved the course just that was very like free, the wise woman course where it was like revisit. I did tarot for mine because I love tarot. And so it was kind of like this free form course where it was like you could explore what that meant to be a wise woman doing whatever it was that kind of called to you. So I was able to kind of do more journaling, and it was just kind of a nice way to delve into like my own personal experiences and my own thoughts, especially when you're a mom. You don't get to do that not very much. So having someone tell me like, you have to do this as part of this assignment, it was really nice to be able to take some time for myself and really get in touch with what I was thinking and feeling, because it's been a long time since I've taken the time to do that. So I
Mhm.
loved that.
That's beautiful. I feel like that speaks to this really interesting point, which is that, we at Indie Birth really strive to have that balance, like you've alluded to a few
Mm-hmm.
times now, like the clinical, the intuitive, like the hard info, the anatomy and the physiology, but also reading Women Who Run with the Wolves or, whatever. So
Oh, love that book.
yeah, so like that balance is really important to us. And in the sort of midwifery education world, it's really funny because to sort of the more mainstream people, we get pegged as too woo-woo and not meaty
Mm-hmm.
enough. And then on the ultra woo-woo side, we get pegged as too clinical and not including enough of that. So I guess I'm curious if you have anything else you want to share about like how you feel the balance is, because we've had a number of students who are like, oh, I almost went with your program, but I went with something where like it was a little bit more free form, a little bit more about like the mystical, because it didn't seem like yours
Mm-hmm.
maybe enough. So it's just like this funny thing that we're always trying to like accurately describe for people because we want them to pick the right
Mm-hmm.
thing. But I'm curious how you would describe it as someone who's in it.
I think it's I think it's a very good reflection of the evolution of midwifery, because I feel like at the core of indie birth, it's very much an homage to the fact that there is a lot of intuitive work in midwifery. There is a lot of using your eyes, using your ears, using your hands, using your intuition, but there's also a very real acknowledgement and it's very straightforward in the courses that says like some of these interventions are tools, and sometimes you need to know how to do a vaginal exam. Sometimes you need to know when you need to transfer to a higher level of care. Sometimes you need to know these things that maybe people don't necessarily think of when they think of you guys immediately. It's midwifery in general is a very fine line between woo woo and skill. And I think that's what makes it such an important thing to continue to push forward and to continue to try to make the mainstream of birth, is because it is woo woo, but we still are very skilled. And there
Yeah.
is it is a balance. And you guys are very good at encouraging us to recognize that, and to not completely push away anything that's intervention, and not to completely push away intuition. There is a balance, and I think that that's the hardest part about being a midwife, is holding close both of those things.
Hmm. That's fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. I guess if somebody watching this is considering our program, what would you tell them if they're just like, I'm thinking about it?
I would say, you know, from my experience, initially, before I went to Indie Birth, I applied to and was accepted to another more like structured, whatever you would call it, mainstream, I guess, midwifery program. And before I finished enrolling, to me, it didn't feel right, because I feel like there's a lot that's wrong with healthcare in general in this country, and there's a lot that's wrong with maternity care in this country. And the reason I went to Indie Birth is because I didn't want to feel like I was going to a program where all I was doing was working towards a license that was going to just eventually lead to me funneling women back into a system that is not serving them and that is probably harming them. So Indie Birth, to me, it's looking for a new way forward. Like, we recognize that the maternity healthcare system in this country is not adequate. It's not sufficient. It's harmful. And how do we get out of it? How do we address that? How do we make this better? And so not only are we learning skills and learning, all of the things that you need to know as a midwife, spiritually, knowledge wise, wisdom keeping, all of those things, but you're learning about, like, how can we keep this to be a viable profession? How do we keep this to be a calling that we can continue to move forward and maybe reshape the way that people are experiencing this? Because the way it is right now is not working. And I like that about this program, is it's saying, move forward and do what it feels right to you, but try to step outside the box and see if there's a way to make this better, because
Yeah.
we're serving women who are at the mercy of regulations and things that make no sense. So
Yeah. Yeah, stepping outside of the box, since the box isn't going so well.
no, and it's unfortunately not going anywhere anytime soon, unless a lot of people come together and make change. And I don't know how to make that happen, but this is
Yeah.
the best first step, I think, for people who are looking for a way to responsibly and skillfully and, you know, authentically serve women. You're not saying you're a midwife just because you want to be. You're saying you still need these skills. You
Yeah.
still need to apprentice. You still need to be responsible. But this isn't the only way to do it. There are ways to do it that are better for the people that come to us looking for help, looking
Yeah.
for support.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think you hit on like that it's what we're proposing and what we present throughout our program isn't prescriptive. It's really asking you to tune into your creativity and respond to your community's needs in a way that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. And not just doing sort of what's been done for the last 30 years just because it's been done that way for that long. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
really tuning into our creativity and not acting like we have all the answers, but our student body and all the people who are involved on the Indie Birth team, like it really feels like we are together trying to find, like you said, a new way forward. So I'm so appreciative of you and your time and talking with me and
Yeah,
all you're
absolutely.
doing. Where can people find you, if because you have the funniest birth things on Instagram, so I want them to be able to go
um,
find you.
I am on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram as Matru Prima Birth. So MatruPremabirth. And I did just change my bio today, where it's basically the last line of my bio says mostly reels. Not gonna lie.
They're funny reels, and people should go watch them, and then you should share them because they're also educational and funny
There's the
is
captions and
traction.
stuff. Yeah.
Yes, no, and funny gets traction. So definitely go
It
check out
does.
Jackie's
It
stuff and
does.
share it, because that will even just that little bit will help us move forward. So thank you so much again
Yes.
for your time
Yeah,
and
it's always nice to talk to you, Margot.
all your work. Yes, likewise. Thank you.